Hard times and I get iron, but you gotta get up. Feeling the weight of a nation, but still you gotta get up. Seem like it's cutting like castration, you gotta get up. I know it's tough, but gotta loosen it up, because we gotta get up.
How you doing, brothers? My name is Brandon Joyner. I'm from Killeen, Texas. I'm further known as TDCJ number 1791474. I just come here today to speak with you a little bit about my life and my journey and how God has been with me every step of the way. Because there are decisions that we make in life that alter us off our path. But God is a good God, and He'll continue to guide us and be with us through any situation. And I want y'all to know that there's still hope, and there's always hope. Because what man has made for the bad, God can make for the good. My story starts off as me in Killeen, growing up in a single-parent household, just me, my mom, and my sister. My mom had an illness called cerebral palsy, which allows her to be handicapped in a way where she cannot walk as well as she can. And just growing up, at an early age, I felt that I had to be the man of the house, seeing as how my mom couldn't work and things weren't going the way they needed to go for us. So I took it in my own hands to do what I thought a man was supposed to do. And growing up, I had role models, but my role models weren't necessarily the role models that an individual should have. They were probably some of the same role models that y'all had. The same drug dealers, the gang bangers, the ones who had the money, who had the cars, who had the women, the ones we saw who had all the jewelry, and who had the most power and respect growing up where we grew up. So in my eyes, that's what I thought a man was, and I thought that's what a man did. So I followed suit, and I did the things that they did, and it felt good at the time to provide for my mom and to provide for my family. At the same instance though, I was doing wrong, but I couldn't see that because the whole community I was in was corrupted and doing the same thing I was doing. And as I grew older, I realized that that is not the way to live. That is not the normal way to live. That these things are not normal. That I was an outcast. I was being a rebel. I was going against what was right. And at this time in my life, I wasn't familiar with Christ in my life. I knew who He was. I knew who God was, but He just wasn't in me the way He needed to be. And I grew up playing football, always played football. And in high school, that's when things got even worse for me. I started having less time in school, skipping school to go do drugs or to go hang out with the drug dealers, and skipping school to go fight and not paying much attention. I was there for football practice though. I always made football practice, but I was still running the streets. There was something about me that was in me that was wrong, that loved the streets. And just going through the things I was going through, I feel like I did not plan to live past the age of 18. I've witnessed so many people before me die at the age of 18 or go to jail at the age of 18. And growing up in those situations, that's what I felt was going to happen to me. And that's why I lived fast. I wanted to live fast because I figured I was going to die fast. And at the age of 18, I thought I knew everything and I had everything and that life was good. Time went on and I graduated from high school, barely, and I ended up going to Texas A&M University. While at Texas A&M University, I was injured and I got redshirted, which means I didn't play my first year. But during that time, I was going through a lot. My best friend had just got murdered that summer, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to look forward to, or I didn't know who to speak to. I didn't know who to talk to. I was just going through a lot. It was a new change in my life, a new environment. So I went back to what I was doing. I started hanging out with the wrong people and doing the wrong things. And I ended up committing a robbery charge that got me and led me to being kicked out of Texas A&M. And as I got kicked out of Texas A&M, I found myself in a jail cell for the first time in my life, away from friends, away from family, and away from all my loved ones. And I remember this vividly. It was a conversation I had with my mom on the phone, and she says, I said, Mom, what do I do? I'm here now, what do I do? I need some help. And my mom told me, Brandon, I cannot help you. There's only one person that can help you now. And she told me to look to the hills from which comes my help. And at that time, I really didn't quite understand what she was saying, because it's the first time my mom ever told me that she couldn't help me with something. But then I realized what she was saying. And that night I got on my knees and I was praying, and I realized I never spoke to God like this before. I never talked to him like this. I never actually understood him, or I felt like he didn't understand me. But as soon as I got on my knees and I prayed and I asked him not to get me out of this situation, but to change my way of thinking. I asked him to make sure that I would be okay. That's all I wanted was, God, can you make sure that I'm okay in this situation? That helped me make it through this situation. And as I did that, he answered me, and I opened the Bible. This is the first time I really opened the Bible on my own. And I can't remember the scripture, but it said, a man is doomed if he makes a hasty promise for God and only later thinks about his decision. And I started thinking about it, and I stuck with it, and I thought about it some more. And I realized what he was saying was that I have you, I'm here for you, I got you. But remember what you said this day. Remember the commitment that you made to me, the promise, the covenant that me and you just made just now. But if you go back on it, things aren't going to be too good for you. And I realized this, and I said, man, God does care about me. He does listen to me. He is here for me. And I've been doing wrong my whole life. But this one instance when I came to him, knees bowed, eyes closed, full-heartedly, he answered me. And that day on, I decided that my whole lifestyle was going to change. I wasn't going to do this for me no more. It wasn't about my selfish thinking, my selfish mind state. It was more selfless now. It was not for me, it was for my mom. It was for my family. I was going to live for God. I wanted to be the man that God wanted me to be when he created me that day, what he wanted for me and who he wanted for me to be. And that's what I wanted in life. So I started studying, and I kept studying, and I kept growing in my word and my relationship. I'm not perfect, and I never will be. But our relationship is a lot better today than it was that day. And I ended up getting out of prison. Well, I ended up getting out of jail. I stayed in there for about a week or so. And I gave up on football. I thought I was done playing football. And I started getting a job at this place called Convergence. And I was making phone calls and collecting bills. And people were asking me, why? What do you do? You're too big. What are you doing in here? You know, I was this big guy sitting behind a desk collecting bills. And they're like, what are you doing? And it hurt me. It really hit me when I said, man, I used to play football, but this is what I do now. And I realized, man, that things have changed, that my decision really took me out of that. But I had a good support group, and I never gave up, though. I never really gave up, because my coach called me. He said, Brandon, do you still want to play football? I said, yes, sir. This is my high school coach. I said, yes, sir, I do. I want to play football, sir. He said, okay, well, let's get you back into college. And I remember speaking to the college coach, and a week later, I was enrolled, and I went to Navarro Junior College. But let me show you how the devil affects you. And he tries to get you. As soon as I got into Navarro Junior College, I was indicted in January, and they told me that I was not allowed to be part of the team. So they respected the fact that I already went up there, and they kept me on the team, but I just couldn't work out with them. I couldn't practice. I couldn't do anything team related. So I was basically just a student. My mom told me this. She said, Brandon, God will not bring you this far to leave you. And that's when the battle of my faith came into action. That's when the testing of my faith came into action. That's when everything that God meant to me came into action. That's when I realized that he wouldn't bring me this far to leave me, and that there is going to be good coming out of this. So I stayed training on my own. I came into class, I studied, I did everything I could. That semester, I had the highest GPA I ever had in my life. It was a 3.5. And I did everything I needed to do. And the president, instead of kicking me out of school, he let me stay there. And as time went on through the summer and stuff, they brought me back on the team, and I was able to practice and work out with the team. I became the team captain. I led my team in sacks. I was doing real well. And it came time now for me to leave Navarro Junior College and to go to another school. And as teams would come in, all the SEC teams, the Big 12 teams, all these big name schools, they would come in and they would tell me, man, you are an amazing ball player. Man, you're going to be playing on Sundays. You're a great guy, man. You're everything, but we can't give you a scholarship. And I kept wondering, why am I trying so hard? Why am I trying so hard when at the end of the road, all I'm going to do is get denied? And I remember sitting down and I was telling my coach, man, coach, he said, where you going to go to school at? I said, man, I don't have any scholarship offers. He said, what? You're one of the best defensive linemen in the nation right now. You don't have any scholarship offers. I said, no, sir. I said, nobody wants to give me a shot. They said, because I messed up. And I called my mom again. I was calling my mom. We prayed, and she said, Brandon, this is 2 years later from our last conversation. She said, Brandon, God will not bring you this far to leave you. And that boost of faith gave me, you're right, mama. God has not left me. He will not forsake me. And I did my own praying that night, and I called my coach back and I said, Coach, I don't have anywhere to go, but I need your help. He said, oh, well, we're going to get you somewhere. He said, I'm going to call you right back. I'll make some phone calls. I said, yes, sir. And about 30, 45 minutes later, he called me back and said, I called some schools. Some answered, some didn't. He said, but it's going to be okay. I said, okay, Coach. Okay, I got you. And about an hour or so after that conversation, a school called me. It was Arkansas State University. And the guy said, man, Brandon, we want you. We want to give you a scholarship offer. Do you want to come play football with us? I said, yes, sir, I do. He said, you know, we can't bring you up on a visit, but we can get you up here and you can just start school. I told him, well, I've been on a blind date before. I'll be just fine, sir. I'm coming. And I got off the phone and I called my coach. I told him, Coach, Arkansas State called me. They gave me a scholarship. He said, that's weird. I didn't even call that school. He said, so I don't know how they got in touch with you, but I didn't even call them. And I knew it was God. I knew how God works. I knew it was because of my faith and me not giving up. God loves to help those who help themselves, you know, and that's something I had to realize over the years and over the process and with my walk with God, that He loves to help those who was not afraid to help themselves. So I ended up going to Arkansas State, and that's when my spirituality with God, my walk with God went to a whole nother level. Just with my teammates, with understanding who God was, what He done for me, and how He cares about me, just through the whole process. And the first year I was there, since the robbery, they came back and they bit me in the butt. And they said, you gotta come to it. We gotta do something. We have to sign some kind of agreement or something. And every break, I've been in college since then. Those 2 years I've been in college, every Christmas break and every summer break, I've been spending in jail to do that debt. And I had to be on 10 years probation. So I did that the first year like they asked me to. And then the second year come around and we make it to a bowl game. And before the bowl game, it happened around Christmas season, and I had to go to jail. I got out a week before the bowl game, played in the bowl game, and 2 days later I had to turn myself back into jail for 2 more weeks. And just that process right there was tough, because after that situation I was third in the nation in sacks. I did so good, but I just got out of jail, and I couldn't wait for the football season to come, but at the same time I knew as soon as it was over, I was going to jail. And now we're in January, it's January 2012, and I just got out of jail, and I'm in Arkansas, I'm back at school, and I get a phone call, and my mom she's in a nursing home, and I'm wondering what's going on with my mom, why is my mom in a nursing home, what happened? And my mama came down with cancer. They told me that my mom had cancer, and I'm going through so much right now. I'm trying to graduate. At the same time, trying to go to the NFL, and now I found out my mom has cancer. And when the first time she told me, Brandon, they found cancer cells and think I have cancer, I told her, Mama, the devil is a lie. There will be no doctor that diagnosed my mom, only the blood of Jesus Christ. I said, and we prayed that day, and we made that happen. We believed in that. And time went on. I went through my training. I had my professional pro day, and it came now for my draft party. I had my draft party with my friends and my family. And I was picked up by the Bengals as a free agent contract. And the week after that, my mama, she had to go to the doctor, but she went to a revival. This is where I get my faith. My mom went to a revival, and the guy at the revival came to my mom and said, "Woman, I see you have a lot of faith." And she said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "This is what I want you to do." It was a 3-day revival. He said on the second, it was a second day revival of the revival, and he told her, "Tomorrow, I want you to bring me 7 bottles of water." So Mom brought 7 bottles of water on the 3rd day. He said, I'm going to pray over them, and I want you to drink a bottle a day for a week. Well, at the end of that week, the 7 days, that's when she was dropping me off at the airport in Dallas, and Killeen, to go fly to Cincinnati for my rookie mini camp. And my mom, she goes ahead and goes to the doctor's office, and now I'm in Dallas now, and I get a phone call. My mom says, "Brandon." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Where you at?" I said, "I'm in Dallas, just waiting for my plane." She said, "I just left the doctor." I said, "For real?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "They told me where there was cancer, there's no more cancer. All they found was water." And I broke down and I prayed up that whole airport. I promise you, there was nothing but spirituality in the airport. But I'm just showing you that God helps those who help themselves. God is an amazing God. He loves us and He cares about us. And if you believe in Him and if you care about Him, He will make a way. He will provide a way for you. And after that instance, I thought that getting drafted by the Bengals was the happiest day of my life. No. Hearing my mom was okay and she was going to live was the happiest day of my life. And I go to the Bengals and I do real good at the mini camp. And here comes the devil again. The devil approaches me as a form of district attorney, and he tells me, we need you to come back down here on the 23rd of May so that you could turn yourself into prison for a 3-year prison sentence. I'm thinking that I just served my time, that y'all were going to give me probation. No, they want you to do pen time. So I go down there, and I remember kissing my mom on the forehead and saying, Mom, it's going to be okay. God works in threes. And she said, I know it's going to be okay, Brandon. Just come home soon. I remember kissing her on the forehead, signing my life away, shaking the guy's hand, and going back and being put in a jail cell. And I remember that's when it really got to me. And that's when my test of faith really became, because I was in prison now, away from family again, but this time for longer than I ever imagined I was going to be there for. And now I'm in prison, I'm belly of the beast, and things are getting me. Those who came out of prison, you know, and you know how it is. It's a mental and physical drain and spiritual drain on you all the time about the ones you care about and about yourself. And while I was in there, it started getting at me. The devil was attacking me from different angles. And that's when my mom told me again on the phone call. She said, Brandon, God would not bring you this far to leave you. Trust in Him, have faith in Him. It's part of your plan. It's part of your testimony. And those words right there boosted me up so much that I continued in my walk and I stayed strong. And I said, God, I don't know why you brought me here, but I know it's for the better of me, and it's to help me with your walk and to help me do what you want me to do. And so thereon, I kept doing that. And within 2 weeks or so of that conversation, I get a letter from the Bengals saying that they're going to keep me under contract, that when I got out of prison, they were going to bring me back and keep me on the team. And that was a clarification of what God can do, because only God can open those doors that man tries to close. The reason I share my story with you was because I just want you to know that we're not who TDCJ or whatever judicial system that you're in, or penitentiary or farm they had you on. We're not that number that they say you are. They call it to us so many times that that's what we tend to believe. And we believe that we're only felons, and we believe that we're only convicts, but that is not true. We are children of God. We are made in His image and in His likeness. And we can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthened us. And I want you to know that there is a way, and there's always is a way. You just need to trust in God and believe Him. Just as He provided for me and so many others in your situation, He will provide for you. But just when it gets rough and it gets hard and the devil starts throwing those old temptations into your life, because he will, just know that those things are like butter. They shine right now, but they will go away. But the things that God has for you will never go away, and can't no man take them away from you. I thank you so much for your time, and I wish that God continues to walk with you and be with you in your journey, and that remember that no man can take or alter anything that God has set forth for you and your plan and your walk with Him. May God bless you and may God keep you. I'm here with you and I'm in your prayers. Thank you very much.